Hello, this is the first video where we're going to be introducing you to Visual Basic, the programming language that sits behind Microsoft Excel. This is going to greatly expand the different types of things we can do with Excel. It's really a very versatile tool set that's built upon a very basic programming language. All right, so like any language, learning to program is very much about learning exactly how that language works. Really, programming is like learning a new language, much like learning Spanish or French or any other language you might not know already. And with that comes a lot of work, a lot of practice, and a lot of details along the way. So we're going to get to all that in the videos that come. But to start out, let's just figure out how do we start programming in Excel. So the first thing we're going to need to do is save our workbook as a special type of workbook, a macro-enabled workbook. Macro is kind of the Excel word for a program. So in this case, we're going to have to start out by saying, let's go to our File menu. We're going to go Save As. And now we're going to save this. And it doesn't really matter where. But importantly, in this drop-down menu, we're going to save as a macro-enabled workbook. It's the second option here. I'm going to save this as first VBA and hit Enter. So we need it to be a macro-enabled workbook before we can actually start saving programs or user-defined functions in our VBA code. Once we have it set up as a macro-enabled workbook, now we have to actually get into Visual Basic. Now, if you already have this developer ribbon at the top, then you're all set. If you don't have the developer ribbon, here's how you add it. We're going to go into File. At the very bottom, you see Options. If you're on a Mac, you're going to look for your Preferences menu. So we click Options, and about 2/3 of the way down, once our options come up, we're going to see Customize Ribbon. So Customize Ribbon, you're going to see all the things you can put into your ribbons, as well as the various different ribbons that are enabled, like your Home ribbon, Insert, Draw, Data, and a little further down we see Developer. So if this is unclicked, go ahead and click the Developer ribbon and say OK. Once we're there, we can go to our Developer tab in the ribbon. And now at the very far left here, we see Visual Basic. So Visual Basic is what we want. This is going to pull up our Visual Basic editor. So we click that. Let's clear that out right now. And now we see our Visual Basic editor over here. And let me reset things just a little bit. First, we see a couple different windows here. You might not see all these windows in your editor depending on how it's set up. What you might see is a gray screen with really nothing in it. So if this is the case, what we want to do is go under View, and we're going to select a couple of these windows. First, we're going to select the Project Explorer. The Project Explorer gives you the various areas that you can start writing code in. You'll notice that one of these is first VBA, which is our file that we just saved. We'll get more into this in a second. We're also going to add in, under our View window, our Properties window. Once we put that in, we can actually drag it down here so we have room to see both windows. We'll talk more about Properties window in a future lecture. The last one we're going to add is the Immediate window. It's going to pop in here at the bottom. Again, this is one we're going to hit in future videos. All right, so now that we have our window set up and we can see everything, now we're going to go into our project. And what you're going to see is in any project, you're going to have these Microsoft Excel objects, this first option here, and it lists the sheets as well as this workbook. Now, these are areas that you can write in code that are going to allow you to execute certain programs whenever an action happens in the spreadsheet. For example, you can write code that whenever the spreadsheet opens, a certain action is performed or a program is run. You can also write code on a specific worksheet that whenever you change which cell you're in, you can also execute a piece of code. These are all really more advanced topics than what we're going to hit in this semester. But so for right now, let's just focus on a separate area of code, which I'm going to show you, which is a module. So notice right now we have no module. So one thing you're going to have to do is right-click on the VBA project, go to Insert, and then Module. All right, so a module is where we're going to write code that can really execute across all different sheets of the workbook. Right? It's not going to be specific to a workbook action or a specific worksheet or tab within the workbook. Instead, it's going to be able to run throughout the entire file. So we're going to click on Module, and now we have an area where we can start writing code. So notice under Module, it's just named as Module 1. That's going to be just fine for our purposes. So now, in this big white area that just came up, this is where we can write our code. Now, the first line of code that we're going to write for really any file that we work in, any program, is we're going to write option explicit. All right. What this does is it forces us to explicitly define and declare all of our variables. That'll make more sense once we get a little farther in explaining VBA and this programming language we're looking at. But for right now, take my word for it, we're going to want to start with this option explicit line.